Hi guys, how are you doing today? Ready for new stories? I'm excited. Are you? So today, the first story is about an evil stepmother. Again, I know. You know guys, I always wonder what is the issue with these stepmothers. Why they always hate their stepkids. Also, it's the other way around, I guess. Kids don't like their stepparents as well. Where do you think the problem is? Is it just because it's not a blood relative? Anyway, in my opinion, family isn't defined by last names or by blood. It is defined by commitment and love. Do you agree with me, guys? Please leave a comment below and enjoy the video. Stepmom is the one who isn't letting me see him, actually. My brother is 5, and I, 25 male, love him. We were close ever since he was a newborn. Stepmom got all petty because of my son's mom, 27 female. She's the daughter of one of my stepmom's cousins. I didn't know her that well, but we met after my dad married my stepmom. We hooked up a few times, then she got pregnant with our son, who's 2 months old. I found out she was separated from her husband, but they decided to work things out. Neither want me in my son's life, since it complicates things for them trying to fix their marriage. It's a major crap show, but all I'm trying to do is be in my son's life. Right now we are in the middle of a fight in court trying to establish that I'm his father and getting custody arrangement, which they're pushing back on. My stepmom decided to take her side by not letting me come to their house. Not even to see my brother or my dad. I love my dad, but he's soft when it comes to her, as in he'd rather meet with me in secret than confront her. It's been this way for months, before my son was even born, because she doesn't appreciate me trying to complicate a member of her family's marriage by wanting to be involved with the baby. No one in my family knows about this. Well, they know about my son and the custody fight, but not what my stepmom is doing. Only my mom, but she wasn't there the day this happened. It was my brother's birthday recently, and they had a party. At my uncle's barbecue, everyone was asking why I didn't come over for his birthday because my brother was sad about it. They had asked my dad and stepmom, but all they told them was I didn't give them a reason when telling them I'm not going. Firstly, they didn't even tell me they had a party for him, so that's exactly what I said to them. And everything about her not letting me come over to see him or my dad because of what's going on. My dad not standing up to her. My grandma was angry. Everyone was. She was humiliated because they all called her a heartless bee. My uncle was drunk for punishing my little brother over a separate issue. While my family supports me, they did come down on her hard, and she's extremely pissed about it. Now she won't stop saying what a ducking jerk I am trying to ruin her relationship with my family in retaliation for wanting to support her family. It wasn't necessarily in retaliation, but saying the truth, since they tried to make it look like I just didn't want to go or something. Am I the a-hole? Wow, that's just crazy, guys. Of course OP is right to be in his son's life. He also has the right to be in his brother's life, and he has the right to tell his family why he isn't. If it makes her look bad, well, sucks to be her. I don't understand. How did she think this was going to go? OP's extended family would find out that his stepmom was supporting baby mama trying to keep OP, and thus them, out of his child's life. There was no version of that. Even if she had let OP remain in contact with brother and dad, that made that okay. But she took it up a notch by trying to force OP's hand, basically saying, "You can't come into my home unless you give up trying to be a father to your child." This was always how this was going to end. So I, 17 male, have a half-sibling who we will call L, who is a 14 female. I lived with my dad about half my life, since my mom moved cross-country with her boyfriend, and I only saw her every other year or so. When I was 8, she moved back to our state and got 50-50 custody, since at the time, from my understanding, my dad didn't have lawyer money and just made the agreement. Now we are doing a lot better, as he made his own business. When I went over to their house as a kid, I had to split a room with Elle. I didn't know her and tried to be nice, but she hated me from the start because I made them move. But it was just because my mom didn't like Callie and decided to go live with her other child. Elle was an annoying kid, and we always got into screaming matches. She would always do stuff to get me pissed off, like put quarters in my PS3 and hide crap for me. It went on for years, and my mom and stepdad didn't do anything. Well, today was the final straw, when I went over for the night while my dad went out of state to go help with something, and I didn't want to go. So I went to my mom's with just my laptop and clothes. I went to my room that I still share with Elle. I was planning on watching a movie and going to bed, then driving back to my dad's house. Well, I had set everything up and put my laptop down to go to the bathroom. When I came back, I find Elle putting mayo inside the air vents with a medicine syringe and putting a lighter up to the screen, killing the pixels. I yelled and told her to stop, and she ran out the room. I checked the damage, and the fans wouldn't work and couldn't even move, and made my CPU overheat and shut off. Now, this isn't a cheap laptop, and it cost me over $2.3K of my own money. I couldn't afford warranty, and so I just didn't add it and was just always careful. So now it's completely broken, and I went downstairs and was so mad that I couldn't even say words and just yelled. My mom asked me what happened, and I explained, and she said that it was just an accident. I told her if she doesn't pay, I'm gonna sue, and I took my stuff and left. I'm at my dad's house now by myself, and I called him and told him, and he said he can pay for it, but if I wanted to sue, that's fine. I'm having anxiety right now, and I want to know what you guys think, and if I'm overreacting. In my opinion, OP is definitely not in the wrong here, and should sue, not only just for the replacement of damaged property, but so that kid and his mom get a wake-up call. This is not normal acting out behavior. It's downright vandalism. I wouldn't be surprised if Elle is a massive aggressor at school, if this is her behavior at home. They need to learn that actions have consequences. Update. So, me and my dad have been talking, and we decided to give them two options. 1. Get sued. Or 2. Pay for the cost of my laptop, and put my half-sibling in therapy, and we will pay for a third of the therapy. They chose option 2, and my half-sibling will be going into therapy for behavior issues this Friday. I also decided I won't be going over to stay anymore, and only visit for an hour every other week. We were hoping they picked 2, because if they picked 1, we would have to pay $3K in court fees, and we would lose $1K. My dad was the one who came up with the therapy idea, because he doesn't think it's normal for her to act like that. She has to work for the money back, so all money earned from mowing lawns or doing chores, or even money given to her for her birthday, was taken to replace the laptop. While I think she does need to be punished, I don't think this hard. I've cut off contact with my stepdad and half-sister, and will only see my mom on my own time. So I really just cut all contact with some exceptions. I really don't mind doing that because I never was close to my mom, but hey, that's how it is. It all started where my in-laws currently live, where there is a piece of property behind them that's roughly 2.9 acres. My father-in-law has been trying to acquire that land for several years, but the owner wouldn't sell the land. Last year, the owner decided to sell the land to my father-in-law for an incredible price of $60K. Basically, the reason to get the land was to have family build on it. The land is easily worth more than that, and a builder contacted the previous owner and offered $109K to purchase. The land could be estimated somewhere in the $150K range, since the market has been crazy. Father-in-law then contacted me, male 30, and my wife, female 26, and my wife's sister, 23, and her husband, 28, and asked if we were interested in buying it and splitting it. I originally wanted to do that exact thing, but my brother-in-law wanted to buy the entire land and then turn it to flip a profit. My father-in-law said no, and that he wanted someone to build on it that was family. Brother-in-law became disinterested, and sister-in-law did not want to purchase the land or even split it. My wife also had another sister, 19, and she was not in any position to buy land and was not offered, but seemed disinterested. Once I found out I was the only one wanting to buy it with the intention of living on it, I purchased it, which took a lot out of my savings. Not to mention there was other fees associated with buying the land, and 2 years of taxes that needed to be paid. Fast forward to current time. I unfortunately cannot get a loan without a respectable mortgage to build a home, so it's just sitting. I already have a home that is very affordable, and after a few years of good saving, I'll be able to build. Furthermore, all of the sisters are having children, and so is my wife this year. So now, all of a sudden, both sister-in-laws want me to divide the land evenly and only charge them what I paid for, the $60K, and not fair market value. I told them that I do not want to sell the land, and even if I did, I would sell it at fair market value. But the more I thought of doing that, it would not be fair to profit off of family. So I was very adamant of not wanting to sell. Mother-in-law and the sisters are furious now because I stole the land, and I'm crushing the dream of all the family being next-door neighbors. I asked my father-in-law if I wasn't able to buy it, if he would have, and he said yes. But then I questioned why he offered it to me and my brother-in-law in the first place. My wife says I should just split the land evenly and just charge them what we paid for it, but I do not want to do that. We live 35 minutes away from father-in-law's house, and one sister-in-law lives 10 minutes away, and the other still lives with him. So now when we get together, there's constant jabs at me for standing in the way of family, and I'm just a greedy jerk. They also say I'll never be able to build because it's going to take years before I'm ready to build, and I should just sell it to the sisters so they can start building. I love people, especially family members, when they just assume that they have rights over something which they are not the owners. I think the time for sister-in-laws to have a piece of that land is long gone, and they shouldn't be hounding OP about it after he said no. My husband and I arrived at my parents' house today to stay for the holidays with our infant. I have multiple siblings, and my parents have one other grandchild, my niece, who they keep during the week while my sister works. I also work, but live out of town, so we use a daycare. Because of this, they're very close to my niece and spend lots of time with her and buy her lots of gifts throughout the year. They even go on vacations together. The first time they did this, we were not even told about the trip, nevertheless invited, and I told them then that they were unfair and unequal and didn't talk to them for several months after. While I was pregnant, my husband even expressed concern that they would always show favoritism towards my niece, and I assured him he was wrong, and they would love our child as much after the birth. Tonight, when we arrived, however, my father expressed regret that they had a few gifts for my niece under the tree, but nothing for my daughter. Trying to be diplomatic, I mentioned something I had seen on Amazon she may like as a hint, and they responded that my niece has one, and they could ask my sister if she isn't using it anymore. My daughter is young enough that she won't know the difference if she doesn't get any gifts, but I'm not sure I want to set the precedent that it's okay to treat her differently. For reference, my niece was less than 3 months old her first Christmas, and absolutely received gifts from my parents. Would I be the a-hole if I pack the car back up tomorrow and leave town? Christmas should be about joy and time with loved ones, and I'm just not feeling any of that here. In my opinion, it's OP's job to protect her child and teach her worth. OP's parents are showing how little they care for her and her child by their actions. It would be appropriate for OP to leave and explain that they don't value her, her daughter, or her time, and their behavior will not be tolerated, because OP and her daughter are valuable, and OP will only choose to spend time with people who know her worth and respect both of them. I really feel sorry for OP, guys. Update. I've convinced hubby to leave today, if only for my own peace of mind. Parents are getting an unrelated excuse for our departure, and I will broach the topic after the holidays when the dust has settled. At this point, even if it means it degrades relationships, I'm not sure these are relationships worth salvaging as they stand now. Long story short, my husband and I have a very detailed budget that we're fairly strict about. This has allowed us to pay off all our debt and buy a house in the past 5 years. Part of this budget is $100 of fun money. Usually, most of it goes to him, as he plays video games and they're like $60 a game. But I haven't minded as my main spending is on books, which are pretty cheap. Plus, he brings in more money than I do. It's worked out well so far. So the issue is this month. In November, we had a baby, and in December, I got sick of doing all the household chores. It's been this way for most of our relationship, where sometimes he pitches in more, but it never sticks. I was fed up with raising this baby and doing all of the housework. So I suggested that we have the main fun money pot, but we have our own separate buckets too. And each time one of us does a chore, they pay 50 cents from the main bucket into their own bucket. Each chore takes about 5 minutes, though some take much longer, like laundry. So that ends up being about $6 an hour, which is way cheaper than it would cost to hire a cleaner, which is how I pitched it to him. Baby care isn't part of the chores either. He agreed because he felt it would help motivate him to help me more. Cue eye roll. So we agree on the chores and started this on February 1. He did some major cleaning the first couple days, cleaned the whole kitchen and living room, but it quickly tapered off. All in all, he's made about $7. Meanwhile, I've gotten the rest of the fun money pot. He hasn't cleaned anything in almost 2 weeks, so he hasn't noticed. Well, today he wanted to buy a game, and realized there was no money left as joint fun money. He asked me to give him some money of mine, and I said no. He blew up on me, that I knew I was going to get all of our fun money, which is true, and that I was just being a petty a-hole and just keeping money I normally wouldn't have spent anyway, just to prove a point. And again, that's true. After sitting on it for a couple days, I'm starting to feel kind of bad. I basically trapped him, and I knew this would happen. But I couldn't think of any other way to motivate him to help out. But that doesn't make it right, I suppose. Am I the a-hole? In my opinion, OP isn't in the wrong here. The fact he's been taking the majority of it every month all this time alone isn't fair to OP. Even if OP was doing equal work, he buys a new $60 game every month. Damn, I think that's ridiculous. Maybe OP should set him up a GameFly account. Less than half of what he's spending, and he can take out 1 or 2 games a month to play through, then return. I'm guessing he just plays through them and they just sit on the shelf afterwards anyway.